So we do still have a few seats up here if you would like to sit. There are still a few seats up front. Good evening, everyone. I would like to go ahead and call this meeting to order. If you wouldn't mind joining all of us up here on the dais and making sure that your cell phone is taken out, turned on vibrate, or completely turned off, we would greatly appreciate that. We will all do the same. We have a packed house tonight. This is amazing. Thank you all for joining us. If you wouldn't mind, please, let's take a moment and have a moment of silence. Thank you. Now, if you'll please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. And gentlemen, if you wouldn't mind helping me out here. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Amen.
Well done.
That's right. I like that.
Well done. At this point in our agenda, we'll open it up for board members with any staff questions that you may have. Does anyone have? Commissioner Munger?
Yeah, I have a question for Bobby. Bobby, I believe I heard something about there being a planned electrical outage tomorrow. Can you share some details on that?
Yeah, we got word earlier today from Electricities, there's I guess a failing transformer affecting the Walden neighborhood. So they have a planned outage tomorrow starting at 9 a.m., probably go about 3 to 4 hours, should have it repaired, changed out, and about, hopefully by noon, most folks have their power back on over there. About 200 customers affected.
Thank you.
Commissioner Kovacs?
So I had a question. We had talked about during budget season salaries and doing salary studies, and I wondered if you could share with all of us an update on that.
Sure. We just issued an RFP last week on the 12th for responses for a full classification and compensation study. Proposals are due next Friday, and we hope to have a decision by the beginning of October, with work starting in October to be completed in January.
That was going to be my question, is when we're intending to complete. And that's all positions?
All positions.
Thank you.
Does anyone else have any questions for staff at this time? I do have one. Is there anyone from Parks and Rec here this evening? Mr. Williams, maybe you can answer this question. Saturday evening, we're having an event out at the athletic park.
Yes.
Could you give us the details on that again?
Yes, Huntersville Athletic Park this Saturday from 2 to 8 is Huntersville Haydays, which is sort of the culmination of various efforts as part of the town's 150th year of existence, our sesquicentennial, hopefully never have to say that word again, and the big finale, 8 o'clock fireworks show. So we don't have too many fireworks shows here in Huntersville. That will be the big finale. A lot of folks are very excited. A lot of anticipation, be very busy down Bearhoff Drive, Huntersville Athletic Park all day Saturday. Hopefully see the fireworks from a little bit beyond there, but should be a big show.
Great. And yes, we'll have one more sesquicentennial event after that, which is in December, but we'll promote that when we get there. Thank you. Okay. Any other questions for staff? All right, seeing none, we are going to now move into public comments, requests, presentations. I do have a proclamation this evening. And Mr. Pincham, if you would please join me. So we have a proclamation for Central Piedmont Community College this evening. Whereas Central Piedmont Community College was founded on September the 18th, 1963, and is now celebrating its 60th anniversary, and whereas Central Piedmont Community College is vital to the function of higher education and life in our region, providing an outstanding opportunity for the education of our citizens and through the civic involvement of their students, faculty, and staff. And whereas Central Piedmont Community College has an enrollment of 43,600 students this year in basic skill courses, continuing education, and 4-credit programs, making it one of the largest colleges in the Carolinas. And whereas Central Piedmont Community College is our community's first stop for post-secondary education and workforce training across its 6 campuses in Mecklenburg County. And whereas Central Piedmont Community College has provided 60 years of service connecting the past, present, and future for this community. And whereas the Maracas campus in Huntersville has been supporting our town since it opened in 1990. Now, therefore, I, Melinda Bales, Mayor of Huntersville, do hereby proclaim September the 18th of 2023, Central Piedmont Community College Day in Huntersville, North Carolina. Now, as I present this to you, I would love for you to have an opportunity to speak into the podium and share your words from Central Piedmont this evening.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening, everyone. Well, I was asked to, I am the executive director of the Maracas campus, and I was asked to say a few words on behalf of Central Piedmont Community College as a thank you. And so on behalf of the faculty, staff, and students of Central Piedmont Community College, I thank the mayor and the town for this proclamation and honoring on its 60th anniversary. Central Piedmont is proud to be a longtime member of the Huntersville community. It's an honor and a privilege to serve the residents of North Mecklenburg County here in Huntersville and at the Maracas campus. We are excited about the recent growth of the Maracas campus and look forward to more growth in the years to come. The college is always eager to work with partners, with the town, and please let us know whenever we can be of assistance. Thank you again for this wonderful proclamation. The college considers it an honor to serve the county for over 60 years. While Central Piedmont is 6 decades old, we believe sincerely that our best days are yet to come. Here's to Huntersville and the college. A great future lies before us. Thank you so much.
And I have to tell you, if you have not had an opportunity to tour one of their campuses, I highly encourage you to do so. They have some state-of-the-art labs. It's truly incredible with what they're doing in higher and post-secondary education in Mecklenburg County. We truly are blessed, truly are. Now, I'm going to go back over here. I don't know if anybody noticed, but we have a couple of teams here this evening, right? So if you wouldn't mind, the Lake Norman 9U, if you would raise your hand or stand up maybe so we all can see you. All right? And then we also have 10U, Lake Norman 10U. If you'll stand, please. Now, these young men, both teams in their leagues, are state champions. And we, in Huntersville, we are truly honored. How many communities can say we have 2 state champions, right? You guys are amazing. And I do want to read a story that was shared with me. And this is for the Lake Norman 9U, the blue team, rolled through their TOCs and district tournaments going 8-0 to qualify for states. After winning the first 2 games by a combined score of 45-4, the blue team lost the winner's bracket championship to South Durham. Blue turned around the next night, winning handedly to set up the rematch with South Durham. After getting an early lead and cruising to a win in the first game, it all came down to 1. The blue squad found themselves down 6-1 in the bottom of the 3rd inning before putting together a miraculous run to tie the game 6-6. The defense took over from there, and after pushing 2 across in the bottom of the 5th, they held on to their win 8-6 and became state champions. Well done. Their final record is 13-1. Well done. Well done. Now, I don't know about you, but these kids know something about perseverance. And I think they know something about hard work, teamwork, right? Because you can't do it alone, can you? No. I would love to congratulate both of your teams for your accomplishments this year. Keep up the hard work, and I hope you have your sights on state champs next year. Do you? Yes? Yes. Well done. We hope to see you here next year, bringing home the trophy, right, back to Huntersville. So thank you, guys. We greatly appreciate it, and we wanted to honor you this evening. Thank you for all of your work. Well done. So, I'm looking for Mr. Williams. Is he still here? There's so many folks in the room. He's hiding. Bobby, if you wouldn't mind, would you mind grabbing us a picture? And if the town board wouldn't mind standing up behind?
Madam Mayor, stand up.
Before everybody runs out of here, I'm gonna, Darren's here, who's on the board of Lake Norman, and if he wants to say a word real quick, but I want to, before we get out of here, I want to say thank you to the town of Huntersville and the Parks and Rec Department on behalf of Lake Norman Little League, because without you, we wouldn't have fields to practice on or play our games on. You've got a bunch of talented young men and women here for both baseball and softball, and the fields and everything are a challenge, but we appreciate your partnership with us to be able to provide areas to be able to practice and play and develop these young men and women into great teammates and players, and will be future leaders and maybe sitting in one of your seats here one of these days. Anything else?
I just want to say thank you, Mayor Bales, Town Board, for having these boys. Lake Norman Little League consists of about 55% of the kids in Lake Norman Little League are from Huntersville area. How many of you out here are from Huntersville? So there you go. It's about 55 to 60% of these kids are all from here. So we have a great group of kids. We do our best. And all my parents know this. I've been striving for 2 years with this board to keep as many kids in Little League as possible. I know the travel scene takes a lot of kids away. Personally, I love Little League. I love the all-star experience. I love the kids who get to play against their friends on a constant basis, twice a week. These boys love to play together. They love to play against each other. They love bragging rights. End of the year, I mean, they'll all talk, they'll all brag, they'll all go to practice. And I can speak for my 13 kids who all played for All-Stars. They were 13 of the best kids I could ever have. They played their hearts out. We had the great opportunity this past year to be the first team to go to regionals at this level. And for all of you out there that don't know much about Little League, when you get to 12, get a chance to go to Williamsport, Pennsylvania, if you've heard that. This, going to regionals is the last step before you get to Williamsport when you're 12 years old. These kids got this opportunity to go to Wilson this year and play in regionals against 7 of the other states in the Southeast, including one other team from North Carolina. We didn't play our best, but we went 1 and 2 along the way. They had a great time. It was a great experience, and for me, I hope they all decide to come back and do this one more time, or 2 more times at least, sorry. In some cases, 3 more times. For all the 9 you kids, congratulations, you guys. That was an awesome accomplishment. For both these teams, and again, for all of you out here and all the board members, 2 years ago, both these teams had the opportunity to go to Wilson as 8 and 9-year-olds, and we never got to finish the states due to some unforeseen circumstances. So I'm super proud of, after that last year, that these 25 kids all came back and did what they needed to do, man. Went out and won a state championship and get to represent in regionals for the 10U kids. And next year, I hope these 9U kids get to do the same thing, and the 11Us, we do it again, all right? So again, once again, I thank the board. I thank you, Mayor, for having us. And you 25 kids, please say thank you to the board and the mayor for having us.
Commissioner Boone, would you like to say something? No? Yeah. Please, come on up. So, as the kids are filing out, Commissioner Boone is the one who suggested we invite these young men and honor them this evening. So I'd love to give you an opportunity.
Okay, thank you, Madam Mayor. Jason, come up here. Jason and I were having breakfast about a month ago talking about future field facilities in Huntersville and the need for them. And Jason happened to say to me that, we have 2 state champions here in Huntersville. And I said, why don't we know about that? And I said, well, we need to bring you guys up here to the town board and recognize them. And that's what we did tonight. And thank you.
Well, thank you for having us.
Thanks for your friendship.
Yeah, yes, sir.
So we have several folks who have signed up this evening under public comment. And so we are going to start with Ms. B.J. Caldwell. Ms. Caldwell, as you come, please state your name and address for the record, and you have 3 minutes. And it is good to see you, and I love your hat.
Thank you. I bought it because I had a bad hair day. And I wasn't, hey, my name is Betty Jane B.J. Caldwell, and I reside at 14521 New Haven Drive in Huntersville. We have new leadership in Pottstown area. The 3 young ladies, they are Huntersville heritage. And so I kind of backed out. You don't need 2 administrations trying to administer at the same time. So you won't be surprised when I tell you today that I didn't know that voting was going to start the 30th of September, and that some of the people in Pottstown, the area, were expecting me to put on a candidates forum. So this call came about 3, so since 3 o'clock, I have 2 sites. I'll have to get back with you as to which site it will be. It will either be David Beatty's Barbershop or the shelter at Waymer Center, but I'll have to get back with you to let you know for sure. And I'd forgotten all about the voting and everything, so I don't think we'll have early voting because we are not in that arena for whatever reasons. So that's enough for that. But I did want you to know that there are certain things that are unique about me, and they are that I was able to be employed at the 2 schools that I graduated from, Old Torrance Lytle, the historic landmark, and Central Piedmont Community College. And I'm so proud of that, and I did not know that Mr. Pincham was going to be here. I did not know that it was Central Piedmont Day, because I am a graduate. I won't tell you when, because I can't remember. But anyway, there's something else unique about the North Campus at Central Piedmont. You may not be aware, but in every town from the inception of the United States of America, there was a section for people of African descent, and that place was called the Quarters. So would you believe the Quarters for Huntersville is located between Central Piedmont's lower entrance and the charter school, Lake Norman Charter School? And for Juneteenth, we celebrated that. And for right now, nobody knows but me and everybody else who was there during that time, except one centurion. They don't know about it. So I'm trying to determine the best way to recreate history so it will not be considered folklore, because that definitely is where the slave quarters was for Huntersville, North Carolina. And I'm going to rush right out because I had not planned to come, but this happened since 3 o'clock today. So I'm glad that I was motivated to come and stand before you and give you the information. Thank you so very much, and y'all have a good day until we meet again at the candidates forum.
Thank you, Ms. Caldwell. The next person who is signed up to speak is Bill Russell. Mr. Russell, as you come, if you'll please state your name and address for the record, and you have 3 minutes.
Bill Russell, 9449 Mount Holly, Huntersville Road, Huntersville, President Lake Norman Chamber of Commerce. You know, to have a state championship baseball team is cool, but to have 2 is just neat stuff. I really like that. That's awesome. The Lake Norman Chamber of Commerce has been pleased for the last 30 years to bring candidate forums to each of our 3 North Mecklenburg towns. And because Huntersville is so special, we're actually going to have 2 this year. We are going to have a candidate forum on the 17th, Tuesday the 17th, and it will be the 3 mayoral candidates along with 5 people that were pulled from a hat just tonight, actually from a basket. Alicia Bergsman, she's going to be there, Amanda Dumas, Edwin Qualls, John O'Neill, and Jennifer Hunt. Those will be the 5 people on Tuesday. The balance of the commissioners will be on the Thursday the 19th. These will be held here at the Huntersville Town Hall. Justin Kazepis, who is the new owner and general manager of WSIC, will be our MC. The public is encouraged and invited to attend. Questions always come from the floor. The question was asked, is it going to be live streamed or on the radio? Yes. WSIC is our partner. It'll be on 105.9
FM, but it'll also be live streamed on their website, but also on all the social media, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, so all of those. So again, 2 candidate forums. We'll also be having the Cornelius Forum on the 12th. So again, please, I would encourage everybody to come out and support the candidates, and thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. The next person who has signed up to speak is Dee Bailey. Dee Bailey? Good evening. As you come, you have 3 minutes, and if you'll please state your name and your address for the record.
Good evening. My name is Dee Bailey, 9716 Midas Springs Road, Huntersville, North Carolina, 28078. I'm here today in regards to the proposition for the entertainment center on Beatties Ford Road, as I just would like to express a couple concerns. Do know that I'm kind of for it, but against it as it stands. I do agree that the community does need something like this. We need a place for the community to get together and gather. I fully agree with that. I don't believe that we have the infrastructure in place at the location it is to do this, considering there's not going to be enough parking with only 16 spaces when you have farmer market and entertainment and sports activities and ice cream and coffee shop and all the different things this has been explained to be, okay? You go to any farmer's market in our area, do you have 16 attendees? No, you have many, many more. So you're going to have an issue with overflow parking. The overflow parking is going to put people down the street. When they're down the street, they're going to be walking along Beatties Ford Road that has an average speed limit of 40 miles an hour with no sidewalks and no shoulder. And you're going to have people with kids. You're opening that up. Not only that, you're going to have a congestion problem with overflow parking. When it comes into Long Creek School, everything's going to be just mashed together. We already have a lot of issues down there with traffic. They don't have enough space just for the people going to the school. So that is one issue, is we need to make sure that the people going to this place are going to be safe. When Oak Grove gets built, you're going to have people walking across the street to this location with no crosswalks. The red light is planned, however, it's not in, and planning and existence are 2 completely different things. And then my other concern that I had, and you have to excuse me, I lose my notes sometimes, is there's nothing being done for sound mitigation, and that is typically required by code enforcement for locations that are going to consistently have noise. Noise ordinance will apply to this location, and there is a noise ordinance that was passed in 1985 for Mecklenburg County for the unincorporated zones that says anything that is amplified must stay under 55 decibels. That is an average conversation or the sound of a refrigerator. So that's pretty much my main concerns, in the sense that I do laud them for trying to do this. I do believe we do need a community center, but I also know that this location, it's outside the zone. If rule is changed to highway zoning, do understand there's not one place on Beatties Ford outside the designated centers that is existing highway commission zoning at this time. You are going to be changing and setting a precedent that could be very negative down the road if this happens. So those are just some things that I'd like to throw out. As a neighbor, I love Huntersville. I've been here for 30 some odd years. I love this location. I love what y'all do for this city.
Thank you. Thank you very much. The next person who has signed up to speak is Scott Brett. Mr. Brett, as you come, you have 3 minutes, and if you'll please state your name and address for the record.
My name is Scott Brett, and I live at 9331 Broadway Street, Huntersville. I'm asking you to not approve the R23-06 Beatties Ford Road Entertainment to rezone it from residential to commercial. The Huntersville Planning Staff recommendation, the rezoning is not consistent with the 2040 Community Plan. The rezoning is not consistent with the Beatties Ford Corridor Small Plan, policies LU 6.1, LU 6.2, LU 6.3. If you don't follow Huntersville's 2040 plan, you have no plan. This outdoor sports bar belongs in a commercial area, not in a residential area. due to the noise impact and the visual impact of 40 to 80 people attending 7 days a week, 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. Please put yourself in our position. This is why outdoor sports complexes are zoned highway commercial due to this dramatic impact on residential areas. I ask you to follow your planning staff of Huntersville's 2040 plan and stand up for the residents of Huntersville, not just for the outside commercial interests, and deny this rezoning. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. The next person who has signed up to speak is Leo Brett. As you come, you have 3 minutes, and if you'll state your name and address for the record.
My name is Leo Brett. I live at 3831 Alton Street. I am a third-generation resident in Huntersville. My grandfather, he bought the house that is located beside me. It is on 3823 Alton Street, and he grew up in that. He bought that house, and my mother, she grew up in that house, and he fought in World War II, and when he was done, he used the money that he had to buy the land that my house is currently located on, along with my parents. I'm sorry, this kind of bothers me pretty heavily because I built a house. I spent every dollar I had to have a place to live, to raise a family, and to have kids. I want my parents to not be affected by this. I do not want them to be stuck dreading this. We don't want to move. We have family all in this area. My entire family, the Blythes, live down the road. Our other neighbors, anybody else. We're there it's been a family-oriented area forever, and we know all of our neighbors. And I walked around and got signatures from, 37 different neighbors that agreed, that said they did not want this. There's places for this. It's not where they're wanting to put it. They even mentioned in their first meeting that it was cheaper to buy this property and turn it commercial. It's not what it's there for. That's not what it is. It's Long Creek. It's supposed to be a community, a place for everybody to come together. And we come together as a community, and we all don't want this. We already have enough issues with, we've had 2 cars that were broken in the past 6 months. We had a garage that was broken into. This is just going to bring nothing but more crime into the area and cause more problems. And we don't want people drifting through, causing more issues. We want to stay left alone. We want to stay in an area that it was made like it was. And I know that if my grandfather was alive today, he'd stand against this. And I just want you guys to know that I really hope that you guys don't pass this, because my parents have spent every dollar they have to build a house, and so have I. And I don't want to have to move out of Huntersville or move to another area. I don't want to for this, and I'm sorry. That's all I have to say. So, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. The next person who has signed up to speak is Mary Brett. Ms. Brett, as you come, you have 3 minutes, and if you'll please state your name and address for the record.
That was my son. My name is Mary Brett. My address is 9331 Broadway Street, Huntersville. I'm a lifelong resident of the Long Creek community. I'm asking you not to approve that case number R2306 Baysford Road Entertainment to rezone residential to commercial. As my son was saying, we sent out petitions, and once we received those, we emailed them, the 2 petitions, to all the town commissioners and the mayor. We went to each neighbor in the Long Creek community and got signatures. This was 98% of the entire community who signed this petition, who are totally against this rezoning. Many of our neighbors have lived there all their lives. The other petition is from the residents that live in Huntersville, who are also against rezoning. Since you have received this email, we have gotten more signatures on both petitions, totaling to 86. We hope their voices are heard through these petitions,
This is extremely important to understand how many lives will be affected by this rezoning. And these are the petitions right here. John Urie's Sports Entertainment Center would include volleyball tournaments, serving alcohol with music, lighting, open 7 days a week, 7 a.m. to 11 p.m., with 40 to 80 people in attendance. This would be an extreme amount of noise, bringing strange people and crime into our neighborhood. The front of our house faces the back property of 9339 Bradysford Road. Huntersville should deny this project coming into our neighborhood. It would be destructive to everyone's quality of life. This is an old residential neighborhood, and commercial zoning does not belong in the Long Creek community, which is what the Huntersville's 2040 plan states. My family and the residents of Long Creek community should be taken into high consideration of how this will affect our lives. You all need to care about our lives and not ask us to live under the conditions of this rezoning. This is a two-way street, not one. Please do not approve this rezoning project. Thank you.
Thank you. The next person who has signed up to speak is Sam Crow. Good evening. As you come, you have 3 minutes, and if you'll please state your name and address for the record.
My name is Sam Crow, and my address is 3920 Shotter Lane, Kannapolis. And I'm actually reading an email on behalf of EPCON from Phil Puma and Associates. He is the owner of Phil Puma and Associates Realty, and on behalf of EPCON. To whom it may concern, my firm and I have sold many EPCON homes over the years. Every EPCON community is well-planned and fits in well with neighboring communities. EPCON does a wonderful job with the landscape and design plans in and around the neighborhoods. The EPCON residents that I have assisted have been a great addition to their neighborhood and community. I would highly recommend a new EPCON community in our area. Phil Puma, owner of Phil Puma and Associates.
Thank you. The next person who has signed up to speak is Joe Gorick. I know I'm butchering the name. I apologize that I have butchered your name. Yes, please, right here. But as you come, you have 3 minutes, and if you'll please state your name and address for the record.
Hi, my name is Joe Gorick. I live in Matthews, which is the Min Hill EPCON community. And quite frankly, I could drive a golf ball between our old house with an acre and the maintenance and our nice new house that has a courtyard and the maintenance is all done by someone else. I truly appreciate that. I think if you go with EPCON, you're going to do your community a favor because the quality of the house they build is certainly up there with anybody's standards. We have not had a single question by them, excuse me, when we ask the warranty people to fix this or fix that, they've been right on top of it. They've taken care of it. The community is very appealing to look at, and I welcome you to drive through the Min Hill community, and you'll see there's a certain standard of beauty in that community. And it gives us, who we're all in our retirement years, gives us all the space that we need for that. I truly believe that they are a little bit superior to the competitors that we looked at, other communities like this. I think EPCON has got it going on. Anybody have any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, sir. The next person who has signed up to speak during the public comments is Michael O'Connor. Good evening, Mr. O'Connor. Good, thank you. You have 3 minutes, and if you'll please state your name and address for the record.
You bet. I'm Michael O'Connor. I'm a neighbor of Joe's, by the way, and my address is 16024 Clear Creek Farm Road in Matthews. And of course, we were talking on the way up here, and he took all my talking. I'm kidding. We're here to represent EPCON just because we want to. Like many of my neighbors, we're really, really happy. It's an unusual neighborhood. We've lived in the Charlotte area for a while. We've seen other EPCON neighborhoods. They're different and they're unusual and they're really very nice. I want you guys to go in with an open mind as you vote. I can also say my wife and I built 5 different homes across the United States, and we're really, really happy with this. So these are courtyard homes. They could be duplexes, but we don't share a wall with anybody. But the houses are built around a courtyard. So they got this beautiful, awesome, kind of a European modern look to them. There's small lot lines by design, as Joe said, they're maintenance-free, and they're high covenant, like a lot of details about what you can and can't do. So the landscaping is consistent and elegant. But there's a lot of advantages for the community. So if you imagine, they're luxury homes, so it's a good tax base for your community. I know I would anticipate things like traffic and schools and all of that are issues. Well, these are 55 and older. In my neighborhood that I live in, there are no children who go to Charlotte Mecklenburg schools. And I'd say probably 20% of the residents work outside of the home, so you don't have the compromise on the rush hour traffic or the noise or the complaints or some of those other things. So it's a beautiful neighborhood. I believe it would increase the appeal to your neighborhood or your surrounding area. And just like you to keep an open mind as you consider them with your vote tonight. So thank you all very much.
Thank you, sir. The next person who has signed up to speak is Marianne Turetsky. Ms. Turetsky, you have 3 minutes, and if you'll please state your name and address for the record.
My name is Marianne Turetsky, 16977 Bridgeton Lane, Huntersville. I drive my grandson to Spartan Park 4 days a week for practice for football. We live less than 4 miles away from the field, and we leave 4:45, and he just makes it there by 5:30 with the traffic, first on Samford Road, then we make a left onto Beatty's, and we are crawling down to the field. I can't imagine how the people that live in Stevens Groves, Cashin Woods, or Ladder Plantations deal with this every day. It's horrendous. On August 22nd, the planning staff recommended denial for the EPCON plan. Remember, the planning staff are people that we pay because they are the experts. Their opinion should be valued. They found 4 different land use policies that were in violation. Building 118 new homes on this land contradicts the 2030 plan and the amended 2040 plan. Please do not vote to approve the EPCON developers for this project. This plan does not follow the Huntersville zoning ordinance or the 2040 plan. Thank you.
Thank you. The next person who has signed up to speak is Kim Baylor. And, I'm sorry? And I was getting ready to say that. Yes, you stay right here. And that Chris Manley has deferred time, correct? Yep. Okay, thank you very much. So that means you get 6 minutes. And if you'll please state your name and address for the record.
Yep, I will. Kim Baylor, hi, 15015 Beatty's Ford Road. My home sits somewhat between the edge of Riverdale as it is now and the proposed EPCON development and where that will go. That's item 10.c tonight. Look, I'm not sure at this point anything that I'm going to say will sway this vote. I'm just going to be real with you. But what I do want to shine a light on is the Huntersville resident experience at this point. Since moving to our address in 2012, my husband and I have been diligently trying to follow the plans, have tried to follow what the plans were for the undeveloped land in and around our area. We know that these are private properties, and we believe deeply that individuals should be able to sell their properties. The reason we're trying to stay ahead of those plans is so we can decide if we want to remain in our home or if we want to move to possibly a more rural area. We have stayed closely aligned to the 2030 Huntersville plans and the amendments to the 2040 plan, which still very much suggest that significant effort will be made to keep certain areas, including the ones we're discussing tonight, as rural as possible, not European or modern in decor. I realize more and more that as a resident, that those plans are guides. They are not rules. They are what Huntersville could do. They are not what Huntersville will do. We've learned that. But as residents, that's very much what we count on to make decisions about where we want to live. That is what we count on to tell us what the future of our town and our community looks like. I won't read LU 3.1, but I will read you a tiny piece of it because I know you know it more than anything. There needs to be a concerted effort to uphold previous policy decisions to limit density and increase open space preservation in the more undeveloped areas outside town core. So a few things I want to call attention to. The argument could be made that a 55-plus transitional property may be considered an alternative to higher density districts. I get that. But when you consider EPCON alongside the additional development that is currently taking place in that same rural zoned area, Riverdale Phase 2, for example, not hearing a lot of talk about that. There is active clearing and land moving underway that connects the current existing Riverdale community with the proposed EPCON development. We are talking about 33.4 additional acres of development that will connect right up to EPCON. The sum total of those equals, to me, a much higher density district than we're talking about. Incidentally, if you try as a resident to find information about the plans for Riverdale Phase 2.0 on the town website, you will find this. You will see that the preliminary plan is still in review. There are no scheduled dates for neighborhood feedback, public feedback, planning board, or town board voting. But I can tell you by the clearing and machinery we hear every single day in our backyard that it's happening now. And it's this lack of clarity and this lack of transparency that has residents mad and frustrated and frankly distrusting of what gets spoken about and what candidates are saying. And when I posted on Nextdoor that the EPCON request, bless you, the EPCON request was being voted on today, there was not a single person out of 60 who responded that was aware of these EPCON plans. Folks, we're gobsmacked that development on any density is being considered while we all sit stalled and in crawling traffic along Beatties Ford Road, Highway 73, and Gilead. And this has gone way outside of commuting times. It has become increasingly difficult to get clear, concise, and consumable ideas of what is happening in this town, and it shouldn't be this difficult to find and participate in the conversations, yet it is. An example, to notify of the EPCON public hearing, a sign was placed at the end of a gravel driveway with a public hearing date. I live right there. I personally didn't notice this until after the date had passed, and frankly, most residents wouldn't have known that a little gravel driveway led way down a road to an 80-acre open area that is in danger of being developed. The EPCON site is not even visible from where the sign was placed. Of the dozens of neighbors I've spoken to in and around this area, only one neighbor received a mailed notification about a public hearing regarding EPCON. We certainly did not. Nor have we received any information regarding Riverdale Phase 2 work, which apparently has already begun, and this backs up against and touches 50% of our property. No notification, no nothing. So some questions I would ask our town board to consider. What is the purpose or value of these 2030 and 2040 plans? It's giving a false positive narrative to residents to believe in until they read the fine print. Where can residents go in order to clearly see what is going to happen to their community, what has been approved in the past, what is underway, and what is still in discussion? And finally, do you really want residents to be part of this conversation? Or is that just a necessary step in order to move things forward? Because the way info is made available right now is suggesting that resident perspective is just really not a necessary input. Thank you.
Thank you. The last person who has signed up to speak this evening under public comment is Fred Wilson. Mr. Wilson? Thank you. And as you come, if you'll please state your name and address for the record, and you have 3 minutes.
My name's Fred Wilson. I live at 9004 Treetop Way, Concord, North Carolina, in an EPCON community. And we've lived in North Mecklenburg all our lives, me and my wife. I was born in Presbyterian Hospital, so you can't get much more native than that. lived in Huntersville, North Mecklenburg. I've worked with Anthony Roberts over there when he was in Cornelius, when we had a good town manager, and now you got him. And we worked on a lot of projects together. I want to say one thing. I live in the EBCON community, and I'm proud of it. They do a good job. They build a good house. They have a good product. They have good people working for them. And what we found, I wanted to live in Huntersville, but there was none available. There's 2 projects in Huntersville that's completed, and if you didn't get in, you're just out of luck. And you very seldom find any come up for resale. The people in there 55 and older, you don't have people going to school. You don't have traffic going in and out near as much. The one we're in now over off Poplar 10th has 80-some houses in there, and about half of that community is common area. And it's my understanding that the one they're talking about here, about half of that community is going to be common area too. The only thing I can say, if you give them the okay, maybe me and my wife can come back and live in Huntersville again, and we can get in on the upside of this thing whenever they get started, because we would definitely consider doing that. And I don't think there's anything negative about the construction, the houses, the people that live there. And remember, everybody's going to be 55 and older someday. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So that is everyone who has signed up to speak under public comment. We do have someone who has signed up to speak for the public hearing. So, board members, are there any agenda changes this evening? Seeing none, is there a motion to adopt the agenda?
Motion to adopt the agenda as is.
Second.
There's a motion, there is a second. All those in favor? Any opposed? All right. The agenda is set. Is there a motion for the consent agenda?
Motion to adopt the consent agenda.
There is a motion, and there is a second for the consent agenda. All those, there is no consent agenda. I just looked down and went, hey, wait a minute, there's nothing under there. Okay, so we'll pass that consent agenda as nothing. All right. Boy, that's a first. I don't think we've ever not had a consent agenda. All right, let's move to the public hearing. This is item 9A. We're going to conduct a public hearing on petition TA 23-05. This is a request by the Town of Huntersville Planning Department to amend Article 9.51 of the zoning ordinance to further clarify non-residential outdoor activities allowed within the neighborhood residential zoning district within a quarter mile of the town center zoning district. Mr. Richards.
Good evening, Brian.
Good evening.
For the planning staff, at this time, I'd like to submit my staff report to the record. Pardon me, I'm going to have to look over here as the monitor's not on over here this evening. Is there a switch? Yeah. Got him right? We'll just wing it from up here. A little history up, there we go. A little history on this. Back in 2004, 2005, and 6, the town held a series of meetings to create a downtown master plan charrette. Some of the outcomes of that was what you start seeing in development today, some of the older homes being turned over into business, so on and so forth. As part of that, there was a text amendment, TA 0511, which allowed for commercial uses to be within residential buildings within a quarter mile of the town center district. So today, that's what we have here, highlighted in yellow. Through a series of events and potential businesses looking to move in, we thought it'd be a good time to do some clarifications as to what those conditions that are allowed for under Article 9.51. So you see here today, as it was written today, it says no outdoor activity or no outdoor display of goods is permitted. We wanted to take that a little bit further and to have some additional clarification of what that actually meant. So the staff came up with this language, which clarifies that no outdoor activity, including outdoor seating, is permitted in these homes along the corridors of the neighborhood residential district within a quarter mile of the town center. Where those occur, you can see is there's a quarter mile is the black outline. You see highlighted in pink are the parcels that are eligible for that. That doesn't mean that that's actually going to occur there. You can see 100 elementary schools there, as well as some churches and some other things, if there was ever an adaptive reuse, potentially. But typically, these are going to occur in homes that are up and down along 115 Gilead Road and Huntersville Concord Road. I zoomed in just a little bit for you guys to see those identified properties. Again, we thought this is just really here for further clarification as to what type of activities can occur on the front porch. We did take this to the HOAB back in July, and they recommended 6.2 to approve that. There's a typo in my staff report, but that is approved 6.2 as written. And I'm here to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, so we'll open it up for questions. Commissioner Kovacs?
What does this do to places that already have seating?
There are none that already have seating to my knowledge.
Does Hunter House fall into that?
No, Hunter House is zoned neighborhood center, so it's got a different zoning category.
Okay.
Similar to Cafe 100 down the, or the cafe down the street.
Any other questions? We do? I just wanted to make sure that all of your questions were answered. We also have our planning board members. If you wouldn't mind, please standing, those of you who are here, and introduce yourselves, please.
Frank Gavin, Vice Chair.
So, gentlemen, do you have any questions regarding this text amendment? Okay. Board members, are you good with going ahead and bringing up our speaker? Okay, so the person who has signed up to speak for this public hearing is Amy Holman. And Ms. Holman, as you come, you have 3 minutes, and if you'll state your name and address for the record.
Thank you. Amy Holman, 100 Cambridge Road. When this came up, it seemed like it was a really important thing for downtown residents to be aware of, and it is something that they, especially the ones that live in downtown versus just simply have businesses downtown, needed to be aware of. And that's why I'm here tonight, is to bring attention to that. Because it is a neighborhood residential zoning by name, I want to make sure that those families are considered that live in those areas, so that until they make a decision to change the use of their own properties, that as long as it is a residence, that they're not in any danger of having who knows what outside, 30 feet outside their bedroom, just because there's a buffer somewhere, because we know what happens. Buffers are only as good as the people who are on the other side, right? I mean, they could certainly want to be in a residence's yard next door, and fences aren't necessarily going to take care of that. Mr. Richards showed you it's not that many properties that are in the downtown, and I am afraid you're probably going to have lots of decisions to make as we build downtown, and it gets bigger and it grows and does different kinds of things. But this one is just strictly to protect the residents until it becomes completely commercial or town center or what have you. So I believe in the ordinance it says it should be low-intensity commercial uses in our buildings, and that restricting outdoor activities is going to help to keep things low intensity until that changes. Thank you.
Thank you. Board members, do you have any other questions now for staff? Commissioner Boone.
Madam Mayor, Mr. Richards, I've got a quick question for you. What was the thought process of the quarter mile and not a half a mile? Why?
I think, when they debated this back in the early 2000s, that they looked at what the actual walking distance, so a quarter-mile walk is what's considered comfortable. Additionally, if you go much further than that, you're really taking in a lot of properties that aren't in downtown. So you're looking at those approaches from, from exit 23, from, out east or towards Metrolina as you're coming to the downtown area. What makes good logical sense in that quarter mile is that, 10 to 15 or 10-minute walk. So that's where we came up with the quarter-mile distance.
Thank you. And so basically, this is saying that if I have a residential home and somebody opens a business next to me, which is, you can do in this district, and they cannot have any outdoor type of seating where you would go outside and drink a cup of coffee or something like that.
Correct. Yeah, you could display, if you were to have a coffee shop, you could have maybe some trinkets or something on the front porch during the day. But no, you could not have outdoor seating to enjoy the coffee.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, well, seeing none, then we will close that public hearing. Thank you, Mr. Richards. We will now move to item 10A. This is considered decision on petition R 23-06, Beatty's Ford Family Entertainment. Mr. Farbers, how are you?
Good, yourself?
I'm good, thank you. So we will turn this over to you for your presentation this evening.
Okay. So I'll enter my staff report into the record. And the applicants are proposing to rezone the site from rural to highway commercial with conditions. Planning staff recommends denial as stated in the staff report. The planning board recommended approval of the rezoning while denying modifications number 1 and number 2, which would require the applicants to build sidewalk along Broadway Street outside the town intersection project boundaries, and it would deny the use of mulch within parking stalls. Though the board did recommend approving modification number 3, allowing the existing shed to encroach into the required buffer. The planning board made a recommendation for approval based on the rezoning site being part of the Long Creek Activity Center. While staff does not recommend approval of the rezoning, we would like the board to consider that if approved, the activity center shifts slightly north to include the rezoning site. And if you guys have any questions, I can answer those.
All right, we'll open it up for questions. Is there a motion?
Question for, just clarification, if this business, and I hope it is successful, but if it doesn't succeed, what happens to the property?
The same uses and the same structure would be the only thing that is allowed on the property. And if anything wanted to do anything different than what is approved on the rezoning site plan, they would have to come back in for rezoning.
But once it's zoned commercial, it stays commercial.
Correct, yep.
Thank
With the specific uses on this site plan.
Thank you.
You have a question, Commissioner Partee?
Do we have a timeline as to when the state will come in? And I think that's that 3 corners, that 4 corners, which they will install the light and upgrade that area?
I will leave that to Stephen.
Per Stephen Trott, it's at least a year away and it's a town project.
Certainly. If you'd like to ask, is the applicant here this evening?
Yes.
Okay. If you wouldn't mind, commissioners have some questions for you. And if you wouldn't state your name and address for the record, just so that we have it.
I'm John Urey at 9339 Beatty's Ford Road, Huntersville.
Katie Carpenter, 9339 Beatty's Ford Road as well.
Commissioner Munger?
Sure. So one of the things I had noticed is your operating hours are 7, you open as early as 7, some days 8, and you're open till 11 p.m. On the early, I have to assume that's just for a coffee shop. Is that not, I mean, can you explain the earliness?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's for the meeting space that's inside, so that anyone who's working from home or would rather not work from home and want to bring their laptop over, they can set up inside and meet with whoever they want to meet with, bring somebody over and sit and have a cup of coffee.
Right, so it would be no volleyball activities at that hour?
Correct.
Okay. One of the questions I had in general is it something you'd be willing to commit to close at 10 instead of 11?
So we have proposed to all of you, I don't know if you all read our email that we sent in, but for the outdoor activities on any school night, so the Sunday through Thursday, we would plan to be done with any outdoor activities by 10 o'clock.
Okay, and the Friday, Saturday?
And then Friday and Saturday would be 11 o'clock for outdoor activities.
Okay. Another question, would you be open to putting a 6-foot solid privacy fence along Broadway, essentially the north and west boundaries of your property?
We absolutely would. I assume you're asking for sound mitigation purposes?
Yes.
Would we be able to do dense trees there instead of a fence? I don't know what the difference between, like, I'd love to be able to increase
Right.
and add more trees and put a whole bunch of dense, like arborvitaes or something like that.
I'm looking for a fence.
Sound barrier.
Yes to the fence.
Then fence it is, yes.
Thank you. All right. I have a motion unless other people have questions.
Any other questions at this?
Yep.
Commissioner Munger.
Motion? Yeah. Okay. My apologies. In considering the proposed rezoning application R23-06, the town board recommends approval. The amendment is consistent with the Huntersville 2040 Community Plan Policy, LU1, which encourages a development pattern that follows the future land use map in that the development is located within the Long Creek Village Activity Center and provides a low-density commercial and recreational component for said activity center. This recommendation is consistent with and supported by Huntersville 2040 Plan Policies LU6, LU6.1, LU7.1, LU8.1, EV2, EV2.1. The amendment is further supported by the Beatties Ford Road Corridor Small Area Plan, which identified Long Creek Hamlet as an urban hamlet or urban village mixed-use center generally located between McCoy Road and Mount Holly Huntersville Roads. The urban hamlet development pattern is defined in the plan as a pattern that fosters residential, institutional, or recreational activities adjacent to Long Creek Elementary School and retail/commercial in the vicinity of the intersection of Beatties Ford and Mount Holly Huntersville Roads. The amendment is also supported by the Beatties Ford Road and Mount Holly Huntersville Small Area Plan for the same reasons previously stated. The town board further recommends that the following modifications be approved. Allow an existing storage shed to encroach into the required 30-foot buffer in the south side of the property. That mulch be allowed for the individual parking stalls. That a 6-foot solid privacy fence be installed along Broadway Street on north and west boundaries of the property. That the hours of operation end at 10 p.m. Sunday through Thursday, and 11 p.m. Friday and Saturday. All red line comments must be addressed. The town board does not recommend approval of the following modification. The request not to install sidewalks along Broadway Street. The sidewalk is an infrastructure improvement required by the zoning ordinance. The sidewalk shall be located along the property frontage, but outside the boundaries of the town's planned intersection project at the intersection of Broadway Street, McCoy Road, and Beatties Ford Road. It is reasonable and in the public interest to approve the rezoning because it is consistent with the Huntersville 2040 Community Plan Future Land Use Activity Center Character Area, the Beatties Ford Road Corridor Small Area Plan, and the Beatties Ford and Mount Holly Huntersville Road Small Area Plan. In addition, the rezoning is supported by the 2040 Community Plan economic development goal of balancing the tax base and encouraging entrepreneurship. This rezoning approval shall further serve to amend the 2040 Community Plan to shift the Long Creek Village Activity Center northward to include the property subject to this rezoning.
There is a motion. Is there a second?
I need a confirmation on the motion. Could you say the hours of operation once again? I heard 1 p.m. Did you mean 11 p.m.?
I apologize. The hours of operation would be Sunday through Thursday, ending at 10 p.m., Friday and Saturday, ending at 11 p.m. If that's not what I said, that was my intent. My apologies.
I'm just making sure I heard. All right. I will second the motion.
There is a motion and there is a second. Is there any discussion? Commissioner Kovacs.
This is actually extremely hard because it's tugging me in two different directions. I have very much enjoyed hearing John and Katie talk and hearing your passion and loving the idea of a community space for people to be able to gather. But I would also be hypocritical if I didn't put myself in the shoes of the residents that are living right there and would be experiencing their neighborhood altering quite a bit. While I do believe John and Katie in that you would do everything you can to make sure it doesn't affect your residents and that you genuinely want a place for people to have fun safely and do what they love, I just can't get over the fact that we would be altering those lives so much. So I appreciate this, and I wish, I've told you guys, I wish I could pick it up and move it somewhere. But clearly that's not possible. So I do want to thank you for your entrepreneurship and the small business ideas and everything that you're trying to do. And if it does pass, I hope that it works out well for you guys.
Anyone else? Any other comments? Before you vote, I do need to remind this board that even with Commissioner Phillips not attending, this takes 4 to pass. All 3 of our votes this evening, 10A, 10B, and 10C, will take 4 votes to pass. Is that correct, Ms. Sloop?
Yes.
That is not at all what I had understood coming into tonight. I didn't ask, I shouldn't have asked Emily. I did ask a staff member.
The reason, would you please explain to everyone why it requires the 2/3 vote?
Yes, so 160A 75 requires a majority vote of all members of the council not excused from voting on the question and issue if it has the effect of creating an ordinance, which this does, as a conditional rezoning. And even if Commissioner Phillips had been here and recused herself for a conflict of interest, it still would have been a 4 vote.
Correct. Okay. So is there any other discussion around this motion? All right, seeing Commissioner Munker, you have a question?
I'm just thinking out loud here. If a motion is made and it fails to pass, they have to wait a year. Is that my understanding?
No. If you make a motion to approve it and the motion to approve fails, it's just not approved.
And that we could potentially bring this back up a month from now.
You could consider it anew.
All right.
Or you could, yes,
Point of
Commissioner
order.
Boone?
This is a question for the town attorney. The person who is on the majority would have to bring it up.
That's for a motion to reconsider.
So Mr. Munger, I think could you restate, Mr. Munger, your position here?
I made a motion. If it hypothetically, it went 3-2, it's not going to pass based on a 3-2. 30 days from now, if we have all 6 commissioners come up here and it passes, and I or someone on this board says, I'd like to reintroduce at that point and it passes 4-2, could that happen?
So if you make a motion and the motion to approve fails, it's not denied. It's just not approved.
For 100% clarity,
A motion.
October 16th, I come back up here and I say, I want to reintroduce this, and it passes 4-2, it could happen. That's a viable path.
A motion to consider something anew would be what you're referring to. Yes?
Okay. So there is a motion on the floor, and there is a second. All those in favor? And those opposed? That motion fails 3-2. All right. Thank you both. We are now going to move to item 10B. And this is petition 23-01. And this is Foundry at Everett Keith Road. And this is consider decision on petition R23-01, a request by Foundry Commercial to rezone roughly 60 acres, generally located east of Everett Keith Road. Mr. Pete, I will turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to enter the staff report into the record. This is the item that was before you last month for final action. You can see the property located here on Everett Keith Road, south of Hambright Road and north of Eastfield. It is 100% zoned currently TR, transitional residential. The request is to rezone to corporate business conditional district. This 60 acres, or nearly 60 acres, is for 750,000 square feet of light industrial flex space, and the plan set would allow between 2 and 3 buildings. Since the last time that we were here, the staff's position has not changed, and that is that this project is not consistent with the 2040 plan. However, there is a small area plan, the Eastfield Road small area plan, which indicates that if there was the infrastructure was in place, that there could be support for rezoning to employment generating. And so if the board finds that this particular property and project is doing that, then the 2040 plan could be amended to be an employment center or employment generating designation. With that, you would see that the staff recommendation is to support the modification B, which was to allow disturbance of the buffers that we went over, and that is specifically along the edges to the north and to the east. Item C is the block length, and that is prescriptive. There is a specific length in the plan. It is not just an open block length modification. And then A was to reduce some of the buffers utilizing the existing Duke Energy land and power lines to the east as in combination with the buffer on the east side to allow for slightly less than would normally be seen when you have light manufacturing up against residential. You can see there that there are several of the modifications that are not needed, and then there is one dealing with, sorry, I'm going to go to this one because it is clear and takes out all the unnecessary. I've gone over the reduced buffers, I've gone over the disturbed buffers, the block length. The right-of-way at the end of Everett Keith Road where the cul-de-sac is, it last time did not extend to the edge of the project. That is not Eastfield, that is the project. And I can show you that on the site plan if you'd like to see that. Just a very small extension, and they have done that. The TIA has been modified. Excuse me, not the TIA has been modified. The findings, Article 14 has been satisfied. There are no off-site requirements for this project. You can see in Part 3 of the staff report that there will be upgrades to the site access points, or the driveways, as you might call it, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then there would be internal protected stem of 100 feet for those. Any improvements that are required by DOT and CDOT, which is Charlotte, would be required. And then all the rest of the improvements that are shown on the rezoning plan within the red boundary. And again, just to show you very quickly, you can see that would be the cul-de-sac down here, the roundabout there, and then there's a 10-foot wide side path along Everett Keith as well. And just for your information there, the four driveways are located just like that. The parcels south of Everett Keith, the remnant parcels, as we call them, those are the ones that are not being rezoned, but are part of the land that is part of this project. They are going to have up against the roadway either a 4-foot berm or 20-foot opaque buffer, as specifically shown, with having the permission to accommodate such and with permission of the parcel owners to the south. So that would be added there. A willingness to serve letter from Charlotte Water is to be provided. The outstanding red line comments would be addressed. And of course, staff still makes the recommendation of extending Everett Keith all the way down to Eastfield, which is just a recommendation. That recommendation went to the planning board, and they voted unanimously 5-0 to approve. They found that it was not consistent with the 2040 community plan, but they did recommend that the 2040 plan be amended as follows. The property proposed for conditional rezoning be included as an extension of an employment center located along its western boundary. This amendment is supported by the Eastfield Road Small Area Plan, and that the proposed Foundry Everett Keith Road development is in Planning Zone 1A of that plan. And that plan states that the area of Everett Keith and south of proposed Hambright alignment could be developed for light industrial, among other things that you can read there. If the board approves the 2040 community plan, then the planning board recommends approval of the rezoning because it then would be consistent with the following policies: LU5, LU7, EV1, T3, and T5. The recommendation is based on all the conditions for the approval outlined in the report being addressed to the satisfaction of staff, except for 2 items. The applicant would work with staff to enhance the northern buffer berm to which is acceptable to staff, and that I have alluded to, they have done that. And number 2 is not to include the requirement of the extension of Everett Keith Road down to Eastfield, is what that would mean. With those conditions, the planning board stated it's reasonable in the public interest to extend the employment center designation and then rezone the 59.66 acres from TR to corporate business conditional district, because then it would then be consistent. Are there any questions about the updates I've provided, the staff recommendation, or the planning board recommendation?
Any questions? All right, seeing none, is there a motion? Commissioner Boone?
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion. Considering the proposed rezoning application R23-01, the town board recommends approval. The town board finds the request inconsistent with the Huntersville 2040 Community Plan Policy LU1. However, the town board would encourage the development pattern that supports expanding the employment center located to the west of the property, subject to this rezoning request by amending the zoning map to facilitate increased employment and tax-based opportunities as stated in Part 4 of the staff report. Therefore, the 2040 Community Land Use Map is amended as follows. The property subject to conditional rezoning, R23-01, shall be included as an expansion of the employment center located along the project's western border. This amendment is supported by the Eastfield Road Small Area Plan. Specifically, the proposed Foundry Everett Keith Road development is in Planning Zone 1A of the Small Area Plan, and the plan recommends that this area of Everett Keith Road and south of the proposed Hambright Road alignment be developed as office, light industry, multifamily, with limited commercial retail to support primary office and light industrial uses. The rezoning is further consistent with the following policies: the 2040 Community Plan, LU5, LU7, EV1, T3, and T5. Approval is based on all the conditions for approval outlined in the staff report being addressed to the satisfaction of the staff. The applicant will work with the staff to enhance the northern buffer berm to the satisfaction of the staff. With those conditions, it is reasonable and in the public interest to expand the employment center area, rezone the 59.66 acres from transitional residential to corporate business conditional district because it is consistent with the 2040 community plan as amended. The request is also consistent with the Eastfield Road Small Area Plan and the applicable provisions of the zoning ordinance. It is essential to the town of Huntersville to have a balanced and diverse tax base that also includes development projects that provide the employment opportunities for citizens within or close to the town limits.
There is a motion. Is there a second? Thank you, Commissioner Kovacs. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? That motion carries 5-0. We now move to item 10C. This is petition R23-07. This is the EPCON project on Beatty's Ford Road. Mr. Pete.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to enter the staff report into the record.
Mr. Pete, I'm going to interrupt you. Madam Mayor, I have a motion.
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion to defer petition R23-07, EPCON Beatty's Ford Road, until October 16th at 6 PM to take place here at Town Hall, 101 Huntersville Concord Road.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Munger. Any discussion? All right, seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? That motion carries 5-0 with this item will be deferred till October the 16th at 6 PM here at Town Hall. All right. We are now at Mayor and Commissioner reports. Commissioner Munger.
On Thursday, September 28th at 6 PM, our CMS Superintendent, Dr. Crystal Hill, will be hosting a town hall community meeting at North Mech High School. Chris Roeder passed on September 3rd. Chris's volunteerism and sense of giving back to our community was exemplified by her public service on our Town Public Arts Commission and as a member of the Mecklenburg County Arts and Science Council's Northwest Advisory Committee, representing Huntersville, In 2021, she became a Mecklenburg County Master Gardener. She truly was a force of nature who loved traveling, learning, and helping others. She touched countless lives in so many ways, and she will be greatly missed. In a world full of social media wannabe celebrities who spend their time begging for your attention, be a Chris Roeder.
Thank you. Chris, you're right. She was one of a kind. Commissioner Partee?
I have no report.
Thank you. Commissioner Kidwell?
No report.
Commissioner Kovacs?
I blame this guy. The Lake Norman Chamber is gearing up for the 2023 Lake Norman Chamber Business Expo taking place October 10th at the Huntersville Recreation Center. The chamber is still registering businesses for booths, which we expect to sell out soon with 120 businesses and nonprofits participating. I also wanted to congratulate Hearts and Hands Food Pantry, Metrolina Greenhouses, and Harold Rice, the CEO from the Ada Jenkins Center, that were all recognized by the chamber last week at the Diversity and Inclusion Luncheon for their efforts in diversity and inclusion in Lake Norman region.
Commissioner Boone?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I don't have any report from the fire department, but I did attend a very moving ceremony at the police department this past week, last week, where 2 life-saving awards were given to 2 officers. It's the highest, one of the highest awards that the police department can give out. The 2 officers saved 3 lives. Officer Brian Grime performed CPR not only once, but twice in the same week to save 2 individuals. And that was followed by Officer William Broadway, who also did CPR on a lady who, once that they got the heartbeat from the lady, they transported her to the hospital. And I thought it was outstanding work by your folks, Chief. I appreciate it. And if you tell them that, that'd be great. Thank you.
All right, my report. So on September the 28th, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., Building Carolina at the Joint Employer Education Center will have an open house. And I was invited, and I was also asked to promote this event and share it with the board members. This is where professional carpenters who bring an expectation of success to every project learn their craft at this technologically advanced joint employer education center. It will happen, like I said, on the 28th, and it's down in University. You can also look online at buildingcarolina.com. So if any of you are interested in going with me, just let me know, and we'll go down and take a tour. Any opportunity that we have to be able to share employment opportunities with our residents, I think that we need to be able to do that. So I'm going to pass this flyer along. Maybe we can get this also up on our Facebook page and promote that as well for folks who might be interested in going into a trade. That is all I have this evening. Commissioner Kovacs?
I also wanted to share information about Girls Night In, Create and Elevate, which is sponsored by the Pottstown Heritage Group, Saturday, October 7th from 6 to 9 p.m. Young ladies ages 10 years to 16 years who reside in the following areas of Pottstown, West Davidson, Smithville, and Huntington Green. They say bring a friend, make a friend, and have a great time. You'll learn to create bracelets and earrings, take selfies, do karaoke, have a taco bar, and more. So if you would like to attend this or sign your child up, please RSVP to Rachel with the Pottstown Heritage Group at 704-490-9352.
Great. Thank you so very much. Is there that is all we've got this evening. Is there a motion on the floor to adjourn?
Second.
There's a motion, there's a second. All those in favor? Good night, Huntersville.